Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I want to focus on the inner workings of what causes repeating patterns to follow the overlooked child into adulthood after they've left their narcissistic family. You may have asked yourself, why do people keep treating me this way? If you like my content, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Do you sometimes wonder why you keep finding yourself in relational situations that are similar to your upbringing? The child that was overlooked in a narcissistic family is usually pushed away and made to feel that their existence is a burden, and oftentimes had a golden child sibling. The overlooked child may be more sensitive, compassionate, and empathetic naturally, and this could be used against them. This child's parent may say things like, "You're too sensitive, you wear your feelings on your sleeve, you're stubborn. I hope you grow up to have kids that are just like you so you can see how hard you are." These are damaging and dismissive comments that tells the child that they are an inconvenience and a burden, while the child is wanting to feel connected to their parent. This child may feel safer and less of a burden by spending countless hours away and alone in their room, learning how to spend long periods of time alone, becoming okay with it, and over time even maybe preferring it as it's easier than trying to connect to the parent. The child may see that the parent doesn't enjoy their time with them, showing disgust or anger when the child needs anything, and they tend to only provide the bare minimum. The child may see the parent spend hours talking and bonding with the golden child, and when the overlooked child gets to spend quality time with the parent, it's usually for a fraction of the time compared to the golden child. The parent may then tend to complain about that little bit of quality time and say things like, "It's never enough for you, you always want more." Hearing the parent complain to them about the time they've spent together is damaging to the child. They may even hear it throughout their entire life, well into adulthood, at family get-togethers, being told how stubborn and hard they were as a kid. Being pushed away, burdening the parent, is a personal message to the child that they are unwanted and unloved. This child may start believing that they are better off and more loved by staying out of the way, and at least being able to avoid the "you're a pain in my ass" glare from the parent. Spending countless hours alone, they tend to be quiet and withdrawn, in and outside of the home. They tend to take a step back on making decisions, letting friends decide what they want to do and going along with it because they don't have the confidence to speak up. They tend to not like being the center of attention. They may prefer to be in the back, unnoticed, maybe even being called a wallflower. They tend to feel safer being unseen. Along the way, they may have never developed the important qualities needed to have healthy relationships, like their sense of being valued, self-esteem, confidence, having the ability to speak up, and they were left with a longing for connections that they weren't able to attain, possibly leaving them with a desperation to find love. Growing up in this type of home, it's as though they've come out of a military boot camp that trained them in how to take emotional, neglectful abuse, being able to handle stress and negativity for long periods of time, while learning how to put other people's needs before their own. They may become like a highly trained soldier, able to sacrifice themselves for the cause, for others to use as needed. The neglectful narcissistic parent strips away the child's equality, ability to learn who they are, their confidence, and the more this is stripped away, the easier it is to control them. What the child does learn is how to have unhealthy boundaries and unhealthy attachments. So they end up quiet, withdrawn, staying out of the way. They are empathetic, sensitive, and very caring for others' feelings. Some may grow up wanting to steer clear of relationships altogether as their defense mechanism for protection. And for others, there could be a deep, longing need to fill this void of finding love. This was me, longing to find love because I knew it had to exist. But I got myself into problems and unhealthy relationships because it was out of desperation. So what the narcissistic parent has done to the child is they've groomed them to be vulnerable, taken for granted, and manipulated, not just by the narcissistic parent, but also for any other toxic, abusive, narcissistic people that come along into that child's life. And this cycle may be repeated into adulthood. The narcissistic parent has taught them that it's perfectly normal to be looked down and talked down to, looked at hatefully, do not speak up, their existence is bothering them, go away, other people are more important, your place is at the bottom, fall in line, do what you're told, don't ask questions, and so on. All of this is done in the name of love. So on one hand, you have a person who is likely to be longing desperately for connection without the knowledge of what healthy connections look like, what healthy boundaries look like, and with red flags being normalized that they don't see them clearly, who tends to be very empathetic, sensitive, and wanting to help people as they tend to be givers. And then on the other hand, you have a toxic person who can spot this person easily because this is exactly the type of person they're looking for, who is easy to manipulate and control. One person is familiar with, and it's been normalized to put others before themselves, and the narcissistic person wants to be made a priority, and so they are drawn together. A narcissist won't typically go after someone who has a healthy, strong will, who has the ability to say no and stand up to them without budging. As an adult, they may find themselves in these repeated situations with coworkers, friends, bosses, or a partner. They may be looking to be valued, and they may think that bringing value to their relationship means taking a step back, letting the other person make the decisions and going along with it, as this has been normalized for them. When their self-esteem and confidence is stripped away, they may have thoughts that they're not good enough, who will love them. These negative thoughts make them vulnerable to people who will take advantage of it, which opens the door for them. In no way does that make it okay for the narcissistic or toxic person to treat them abusively, but they will because that's who they are. It's up to us to break that critical thinking of not being good enough, realizing that what your parents told you as a child isn't true. You are not a burden or inconvenient. They were trying to fulfill their own selfish needs out of their own toxic trauma that lived within them. It's time to break that cycle, most likely a generational curse, and become your own leader. To stop caring about what your parents think or what other people think of you. Become your own parent. If you were your own loving, healthy parent, what would you want for yourself? Knowledge and wisdom is power, and then use that to heal your wounded inner child. These situations are windows into the parts of us that need to be healed. Relationships are really good at showing us what triggers us. And we can take that trigger and use it to see what parts of ourselves are still hurting. We can use that knowledge to see a narcissist coming from a mile away because we know what they look like. In turn, being able to say no to them and yes to ourselves. I hope this helps. Everyone's experiences are different. Please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything specific you would like me to talk about. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you like my content. I love you all.